Maxey from outside. Sixers lead, courtesy of Tyrese Maxey.
Hit deep to left field. Going back is LoCastro. It is gone!
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Beef Up Front podcast here on Pick Swap Media. Your host, Ryan Coyle. As always, today, here with my official 2025 college football predictions. I'm going to go through the four major conferences, the championship winners, the teams out of the playoffs out of those conferences, the Heisman Trophy winner, my national champion, and as well as my G5 picks as well. Who's going to win each G5 conference and be the playoff representative out of that G5 group. So looking to do this in 20 minutes or less, kind of touch on everything big topic-wise, SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, talk a little G5 as well, talk playoff, talk national championship, and talk the Heisman Trophy winner, my official 2025 predictions. Football's here. Football is ready to kick off on Saturday afternoon between Iowa State and Kansas State. So let's waste no more time. Let's get right into it. And let's start at the top with the SEC. I think the best conference this year in all of college football. I have the SEC championship as Texas going a perfect 12-0 in the regular season and winning the SEC championship going 13-0 over Georgia. Georgia goes 11-1 in the regular season, 11-2 after this championship loss to Texas. I think Texas defense is going to be nasty. Two potential top 10 picks on that defense this upcoming season. Arch Manning, maybe the best player in the entire country, potentially. The Heisman Trophy winner, the number one overall pick for next year's draft, maybe. We'll see. There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of potential. We're buying into that hype, buying into that potential, but I'm still saying pump the brakes a little bit. Let's see it out there on the field, and he's got a huge first test against Ohio State. I think this Texas team, their schedule lines up, and it looks good to have a potential perfect season. Could they slip up and go 11-1 in the regular season? Wouldn't surprise me at all. They should still find themselves in the national or in the college football playoff easily and the SEC championship. And I have them beating Georgia, who goes 11-2 after this loss. I think Georgia's being slept on this year. I think there's a chance that this is your team that could win the national championship. I think Gunnar Stockton's a really good fit for that squad. And I think Kirby's going to have that team motivated. But obviously, Texas and Georgia both go to the playoff. I have Texas going to the college football playoff as the number one overall seed at 13-0 there. I have Georgia going 11-2, getting the number 6 seed. I have number 7 Alabama making it as well, going 11-1, not making the SEC title game. And then I have number 9 LSU going 10-2, making the college football playoff as well. So 4 teams out of the SEC I have making the playoff: Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU. Nothing really crazy there. There's a couple wild card teams that could be in the mix. Oklahoma, things shake right with John Mateer, Lenore Sellers in South Carolina, DJ Lagway in Florida. Auburn's a team that I've heard some people hyping up a little bit in the recent weeks, a surprise. So last year, the SEC only got 3 teams. I have them getting 4 teams this year. My bottom team in this conference, I have Mississippi State going 2-10 to be the bottom feeder here of the SEC. All right, we move on now to the Big Ten. Last year had 4 teams in the playoff. How many teams will they have this year? The Big Ten championship. I have Penn State taking down Ohio State as my official prediction there for the Big Ten. Listen, I think this Penn State team is very reminiscent of the last 2 national champions with Ohio State and with Michigan. They bring back an experienced quarterback. Last year, Ohio State had the transfer in Will Howard, but still a very experienced guy. Drew Aller back for his 3rd year starting. You can argue the best running back duo in the country, probably with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. You're going to have guys all over that defense. James Franklin has been great at recruiting the defensive side of the ball. Offensive line is going to be really good. You go out to the portal and adjust the receiver spot. There's no excuse for this Penn State team to not be at least competing for the Big Ten and national championship this year. I think Ohio State knocks off Penn State in the regular season matchup, but I do think Penn State wins this game and goes to the college football playoff as the Big Ten representative. I have 3 teams going from the Big Ten this year. Number 2, Penn State in my seedings at 12-1 after knocking off Ohio State. I have number 4, Ohio State, going 11-2, losing that first game to Texas of the season, and then losing in the Big Ten title game to Penn State, going 11-2. I gave them the 4 seed there, losing to the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country. According to my seeding. And then number 10, Oregon, getting the second to last at-large spot, going 10-2, making the college football playoff as well. So I have 3 teams making it from the Big Ten: Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon. Worst team being Purdue at 2-10. I really like Barry Odom. I think he's a really good coach. but Purdue is gutted in the portal. I think it's going to take a couple of years to get it going down there at Purdue. So 3 teams from the Big Ten go into the playoff. Number 2, Penn State. Number 4, Ohio State. And number 10, Oregon. We go over to the ACC now. I have the Clemson Tigers at 11-2 winning the ACC over Louisville, who goes 9-4. This Clemson team very reminiscent of that Penn State team. You look up and down the board on both sides of the ball for this Clemson team, NFL prospects galore. Cade Klubnik, potential number 1 pick at the quarterback spot in the NFL draft next year. Peter Woods and TJ Parker projected top 10 picks. Avion Terrell in the secondary. One of the top corners in the league. You look at the wide receiver room, it's the best wide receiver room that Dabo's had in quite some time there at Clemson. Third-year offensive coordinator with Garrett Riley, with a third-year quarterback in Cade Klubnik. Everything is clicking there for this team to be national title contending worthy good. So look out for Clemson again this year. I have them taking down Louisville. Wouldn't surprise me if Louisville made the playoff. Obviously, if they were to win this ACC title game, they automatically get in. But it's a Louisville team that I think has a pretty tough schedule, but I think it's going to be a really good squad. I have them going 9-4, probably going to be on the outside looking in if they do wind up having that record. But still, I really like this Clemson and Louisville team. A surprise team to watch out for, too. Georgia Tech, I think, is going to really raise some eyebrows this year. But I actually only have 1 team out of the ACC going to the college football playoff. Last year, you had 2. You had SMU going as well. I have Clemson getting the number 5 overall seed, going 11-2, and being your lone representative in the college football playoff out of the ACC. My worst team out of the ACC, Wake Forest, going 3-9. Looks like they're going to be starting Robbie Ashford, one of my least favorite quarterbacks over the past 5 to 10 years at the college football level. I think they're going to really struggle this year. All right, we go to the final Power 4 conference, the Big 12, the conference of parity, the conference where if Kansas won it, I wouldn't be surprised. If BYU had a miraculous season, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a conference where, sure, you might be caught off guard by who wins it, but nothing's going to shock me. I think there's a legit 7 to 8 teams that you could have winning this conference. I have it being Utah, though. I'm buying in on Utah being a bounce-back team this year, winning the Big 12. I have them going 11-2, and I have them knocking off Kansas State in the Big 12 title game, who also goes 11-2. I'm buying in on Devin Dampier and him transferring to Utah. I'm buying in on Kyle Whittingham having a bounce-back year. They rarely have bad back-to-back seasons. The offensive line is going to be probably the best in the Big 12. They're going to have a really strong defense. They have a really strong home field advantage. The entire recipe of success is there for this Utah team to win the Big 12 and to go to the college football playoffs. So I got the Utah Utes beating up on the Kansas State Wildcats in the Big 12 title game, going to the college football playoff. However, unlike last year where only one Big 12 team goes at Arizona State, I do have 2 Big 12 teams this year. I have Utah getting the 8 seed going 11-2, and I have Kansas State being the 11 seed as the last at-large going 11-2. So Kansas State goes into that last game of the season, the conference title game, with a 10-2 record. Should they be, with an 11-1 record? Should they be punished for a loss there? And a SEC team that goes 11-1 but's not on championship weekend, or goes 10-2, not on championship weekend, getting over them? That's going to be a debate at the end of the day. But I think Kansas State's body of work, the resume, and I think the Big 12 could have like a handful of 8-win, 9-win teams that Kansas State's racking up some wins over. So I like Utah to win that conference, be the representative out of the Big 12, and then Kansas State to get an at-large too. So Utah slides in as the number 8 team, and Kansas State slides in at the number 11 team. And the worst team out of this conference, I got OK State going 3-9. I think it could be the end of the Mike Gundy era down there in Stillwater, Oklahoma. So this is a conference that I'm probably looking forward to the most this year. I think it's going to be really fun. But Oklahoma State, I think, struggles this year. But you do get 2 teams to the playoff with Utah and Kansas State. All right, quick run through of the G5 conferences. I'll give you my conference winner as well as the G5 representative. Your G5 representative getting the number 12 overall seed, the Mountain West champions, the Boise State Broncos. I have them going 12-1, winning their conference title game. I have their only loss on the season being to Notre Dame. This was your G5 rep last year. I think it's the most solid, solidified program in the entire G5. I'm looking for them with the returning quarterback, returning head coach to go back to the college football playoff. Your other conference champions out of the G5, Liberty, I have them going 13-0, winning the CUSA, a cupcake of a schedule. I think the committee gives the nod to Boise State over them, even if they do go undefeated. Texas State out of the Sun Belt going 11-2. I have them winning it. Exciting offense, really good young head coach in G.J. Kinney. That's going to be a fun team to watch this year. Out of the American, Tulane, I have them going 11-2. Going to be a fun team to watch as well. John Summerall, one of the best coaches in the entire country. I think maybe even the best coach in the entire G5. You get Jake Retzlaff potentially there as your starting quarterback now from BYU. I like them to win the American. They got a few tests as well with Duke and Northwestern out of the Power 5 conference or Power 4 conferences. And then my MAC champion, I got Toledo at 10-3, winning the MAC this year. A really experienced team. One of my favorite win total overs on the year is them to go over 8.5. I think they could potentially upset Kentucky too in week 1. So I like Toledo to go 10-3, but Boise State is your G5 representative. So your complete playoff field from Ryan Beef Coyle here on Pick Swap Media. Texas, number 1 in the country at 13-0. Penn State, 12-1. Notre Dame gets in. We didn't touch on them, obviously, because they're an independent, but I have them going 12-0. I think there's a chance that they're favored in all 12 games this year. I have them running the table. Could slip up, and I still think make it at 11-1, maybe 10-2. You get in over like a K-State instead, potentially. But I do have the Notre Dame Fighting Irish going 12-0. You don't play in the conference title game, though. I think that dings you a little. One less quality win on your resume. I have them getting the number 3 seed. Number 4, Ohio State going 11-2, getting the number 4 seed. There are only 2 losses on the season to number 1 and number 2 with Texas and Penn State. Clemson at 5 at 11-2, ACC representative. Georgia at 6 going 11-2. They're one loss in the regular season, and then they lose to Texas in the SEC title game. Number 7, Alabama going 11-1, buying in on them again this year. Number 8, Utah going 10-2 this season, winning the Big 12, and they're your representative out of the Big 12. Number 9, LSU at 10-2 as well, getting into the playoff. Number 10, Oregon at 10-2 out of the Big 10 and at large there. Another Big 12 team as an at-large. Number 11, Kansas State going 11-2, and then your G5 rep, Boise State going 12-1 to round it out. So we will go through my entire playoff predictions now. You got the number 5 seed, Clemson, playing number 12, Boise State. I will have Clemson winning and advancing in that one. Number 6, Georgia against number 11, Kansas State. That's a pretty easy one for me with Georgia. Excited to watch Avery Johnson, though, this year for Kansas State. If he has a Heisman-worthy season, that could be a different story potentially there. Then we get into 7, Alabama versus number 10, Oregon. Got it, my first upset of the tournament here with number 10, Oregon beating number 7, Alabama. I think when you look at Oregon, they have a lot of moving pieces from last year's squad, new quarterback, new pass catchers, new guys up front on the offensive line. It might take them some time to gel, but I think at this point of the season, they could be playing their best ball. Dante Moore maybe playing his best ball of his young career at this point. Decorian Moore settled in. Mateo Ugalagalele, however we pronounce that, reckon plays for that Oregon defense. I'm going to take an upset there with Oregon over Alabama in the 10-7 matchup. Then we have number 8, Utah, the Big 12 winner, versus number 9, LSU, and at-large out of the SEC. I'm going to go with LSU. I think LSU is playing a little bit of desperate ball after going 10-2 in the regular season. I think they're definitely a more talented team than Utah. Garrett Nussmeier, a really experienced quarterback. That's a must-win spot. If you're LSU, you can't be dropping a game in the playoff to Utah. So going to be LSU moving on there. So that brings up the next round, the Final Four. Number 1, Texas, after going undefeated through the regular season and the SEC title game, they will play number 9, LSU in an SEC matchup. Upset alert there. I'm going to take LSU as the 9 seed over number 1, Texas. Last year, we saw a handful of upsets in the second round. We saw Ohio State absolutely drub Oregon after going undefeated. I think we see a similar situation here. Not a beatdown, not a drubbing, but LSU definitely talented enough to beat Texas. Experienced quarterback. This will be Arch's first start in the college football playoffs, first real kind of major playoff game for him. He got some minutes, got some snaps in the playoffs last year. But this is a scenario where I do like LSU with a little bit more experience, I think, on their side to take down Texas in this matchup. Then you have number 4, Ohio State versus number 5, Clemson. This could be a national title game, but you get it in the second round. What an awesome game this would be. I think by this stage of the season, Julian Sain is fully settled in as quarterback. And I still think Ohio State is a more top to bottom talented roster than Clemson. Clemson might have more top-end talent, might have more first-round picks in this year's draft, but they're going to have the best player on the field, Ohio State, with Jeremiah Smith. And Julian Sain, this point of the season, I think is settled in. Ohio State coming off a loss to Penn State in the Big Ten title game, too, in my scenario. I think they're playing motivated and go out there and take down this Clemson team, but a true coin flip game that comes down to the final whistle. Number 10, Oregon versus number 2, Penn State. I'm going with a little bit more chaos here. I'm going to have Oregon win that game over Penn State. So Penn State takes down Oregon in the regular season. Penn State gets their revenge on Ohio State in the Big Ten title game. but they come up short here in their first college football playoff game. Would Penn State fans be happy with that? Winning the Big Ten title, getting a bye, but losing your first playoff game and you lose it to a Big Ten school in Oregon? That would be a fascinating situation that happens. But I'm going to have a little bit of chaos there as well with number 10 Oregon taking down number 2 Penn State. And our Final Four matchup, number 3 Notre Dame, after going 12-0, will play number 6 Georgia. I'm going to have Georgia getting revenge on Notre Dame. This is a rematch of last year's playoff matchup. I'm going to have Georgia taking down Notre Dame here. I think this Georgia team is being slept on, and I think they have a little bit more experience on their side after everything that Notre Dame lost from last season. So give me Georgia to the Final Four after beating Notre Dame. So that gives us number 4 Ohio State and number 9 LSU. What an awesome game that would be. The helmets in that game, incredible. Ohio State, LSU, everything college football fans can dream of. I'm going to take LSU. I think they're going to be playing with house money here at the end. No one expected us to be here. No one expected us to beat Texas, but we still have the talent. We still have the guys. We still have the quarterback to do it. I'm going to take them over Ohio State, a little bit more of an inexperienced squad after everyone that they lost last year. Give me LSU over Ohio State. So the number 9 seed LSU goes to the college football playoff title game. Number 6, Georgia will play number 10, Oregon. And you look at the seeding last year, like we had some pretty wild seeding with the teams. It wasn't 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the final four. So I don't think we're going to get that this year. I think we see a little chaos again. Number 6, Georgia over number 10, Oregon. I really like this Georgia team. I was tempted to pick them to win the SEC title, but I think sometimes when you lose that title game, like you can look at college basketball and March Madness, when some of these top teams lose in the conference tournament, whether it's in the semifinals or the finals, they kind of use that as a motivation, as a little bit of a building block to go and kind of seek some revenge there in the NCAA tournament. I remember Villanova did it so many years back, losing the conference championship game, but they go on and win the national championship that year. Sometimes it's a bit of a reset that these teams need. It's hard to win so many games in a row. You're able to get that reset, not as much pressure on you, and you're able to go out there and kind of just play a little bit more loose. I have them beating that Oregon team. I think this Georgia team's a little bit more experienced. So that gives us an SEC versus SEC final. Number 6, Georgia versus number 9, LSU. Can LSU get over the hump with Brian Kelly? Can Georgia get back to the mountaintop in college football? A lot of narratives in this game. I am going to take the Georgia Bulldogs, the number 6 seed in my prediction, over the number 9 seed LSU Tigers to win this year's college football playoff. I think Gunnar Stockton is the perfect quarterback for that Georgia team. I think his legs, his mobility to be able to move the chains on key third downs is going to be an integral part of that offense. But I think just his ability to take care of the football, make the smart plays, make the right reads is what Kirby Smart needs. Zachariah Branch, I think, is going to be an electric playmaker for that team, a good stable of running backs, and as always, a dominant defense. I think this Georgia team is your 2025 college football playoff national champion. So I have an SEC final with Georgia over LSU. My Heisman Trophy winner, I'm going to go with Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. I think he has an awesome season, puts up great numbers, obviously goes to the national title game here. The Biletnikoff winner for the best wide receiver, an easy one for me with Jeremiah Smith. Might take a game or two to settle in with Julian Sayin, but I think by year's end, we'll all know who the best receiver in college football is. And the Doak Walker Award for the best running back in the country, I'm going to give that to Isaac Brown out of Louisville. Jeremiah Love, Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, those guys are getting a lot of love. Isaac Brown, I think, is going to be the best running back of that bunch this year. So that'll do it for my college football playoff predictions for this upcoming season. To summarize everything in order again, I got Texas winning the SEC. I have Penn State winning the Big Ten. I have Utah winning the Big 12. I have Clemson winning the ACC. I got Boise State as your G5 representative. And I have Georgia taking down LSU in the national championship with Garrett Nussmeier as your Heisman, Jeremiah Smith as your Biletnikoff Award winner, and Isaac Brown as your running back of the year, the Doak Walker Award winner. That'll do it. I'm excited to get back into some live matchups, talking the games. We still have a couple of team individual previews that we're going to be rolling out over the next week or so. And then we got a full week 0 preview coming out as well. Thank you everyone for tuning in. As always, please like, please subscribe, and we'll be talking to you next time here on Pick Swap Media.